Hi all, Bones here from Oz Bantams, and today we are getting back onto the Jawa. I've got to clear off the parts off the shelf because I've got a bike, the Harley Davidson's got a problem, there's a noise in the engine, I need to get it up on the stand and I need to pull it apart and have a look at. So I've got to start clearing the shelves out. So what I've been up to so far is pressing in new swing arm bushers in the swing arm. They are very close fit, the bushes, so I didn't bother reaming them. I've just tapped the pin in and just found the high spots. You trust the old apprenticeship scrapers. I've just scraped the high spots off and it's pretty good fit. So what I've got to go on to now is this is obviously the rear sprocket. Now that usually comes as a unit, but I can't buy one as a unit. So I can get the sprocket. So what I'm actually going to do is cut this off, machine it down, bore the sprocket out, put it on and weld this sprocket onto the boss of what's left of this. So we'll get stuck into that right now. Okay, so our sprocket carrier has now been machined up. You can see here, I've machined a shoulder in it. You can just make out the little chamfer just there, which is our weld prep for when we actually weld it together. So the sprocket will have a corresponding shoulder in it here. So it'll shoulder out on this surface here and this surface up here. And we'll make it a press fit so it holds in place while we weld it. So time to machine the sprocket out. Alright, I have finished machining the sprocket, and as you can see I've put a shoulder in here, chamfer from the other side for weld prep, and we've got a corresponding shoulder here on the hub, and as you see it won't fit yet, and the whole idea of that is I've made this an interference press fit, so the sprocket will get some heat on it. This will go back into the freezer. I've had it in the freezer, and then we'll put it over in the press and we'll press it together. And the reason I've done an interference press fit is so it doesn't, when I go to weld it, doesn't pull at all, so we don't get a wobble in the sprocket. So I'll 4 tack welds to hold it in place, and I'll fully weld it once it's pressed together. It's gone well. Happy. So after pressing it up, that's what we've got. 0.2 of a millimetre run out, which is more than acceptable. That's really, really good. I'm really happy with that. What I've got here is a range of the last of the components that need to be cleaned up. So these will be wire buffed. I think I'll put them in that rust stripper for some of them, such as the brake cams and things like that. I'll still wire buff them, and then we've still got to start zinc plating some of these components. We've got pivot pins for the centre stand, axles, and just general nuts and bolts and things, little spaces. We'll get that all done. You can see the parts plating away there in the bath. They're coming up quite nicely. You can see the anode hanging over the back there. Power supply coming in there. There's another anode hanging off this bar just here. So this is a Jane kit, zinc plating kit. It works very, very well. I've had one for about 12 years. Alright, as you see on these ones, I've actually just got these out of the plating bath because I only wanted the thread and the head zinc plated, because this is one of your axles and it goes through your bearing. So you can see there's a little bit of plating there just leached underneath the tape, but that'll be alright. I can polish it out. So because this will actually add a little bit to the diameter, so for when you're going through bearings and things like that, you just mask it off and just plate the areas that you want done. Hasn't turned out too bad. Alright, we're up to getting the triple clamps in and putting the head stem bearings in the top here. Now see this here, this was a receptacle that had a lock mechanism for a steering lock. Now, and I have it on reasonable authority that sometimes they actually vibrated in and locked up your steering, which I don't want. So I didn't have the key for this, so I'm actually going to machine up a plug and tap that in, so just to stop dirt and debris getting in there. There's a slot underneath there. And I'll plate it up and we'll knock that in. And then whilst, before I put everything in, I'll actually give this a scrub out with all the rust inside here. Tap the hole out down here, because once you put your head stem in with your bearing, any crap can actually drop down into your bearing. So you really want it clean before you start assembling it up. But we're getting close, so I'll get this machined up. All right, we've got some issues with the hole here for the swing arm pin, and that is a very tight fit. But in the back here, excuse me, I'm just going to move the camera around. You can see there's a drilled hole just here which locates into this portion of your pivot pin. Now I've tried tapping it in and it is tight, and I wouldn't have thought this would be a push fit. I'm a bit concerned that I might gall up or damage a bit of the end of the pin where it's going to swing on the swing arm's going to go. So I think we'll polish a bit out of that tomorrow, and we'll see how we go. I think we'll call it a day. It's been a pretty productive day. I'll just take over here. And that's the parts that we've been plating up. You can see, you know, over on the left, and how they end up on the right. So you can see things like these brake cams here. I mean, you don't want those plated and zinc plating coming off into your brake drum, so I just plate up the ends and mask the rest off. They've just got to go over the wire buff to have a bit of the stuff knocked off them, but they're looking pretty good. That was the end result of our sprocket this morning. So yeah, all going well. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and if you have and you haven't subscribed, then subscribe. Alright, bye bye.